Good evening and welcome to the World News on VOP TV. I am David Edwin. First, the major stories. COP28 climate delegates agree to transition away from fossil fuel. UN General Assembly votes to demand immediate ceasefire in Gaza. U.S. military vessel shoots down Houthi drone flying towards Red Sea. And Turkish FA says referee is not going to quit referee punch. The news in details. The United Nations General Assembly has voted to demand an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in war-torn Gaza in a rebuke to the United States, which has repeatedly blocked ceasefire calls in the UN Security Council. A majority of 153 nations voted for the ceasefire resolution in the General Assembly's emergency special session on Tuesday, while 10 voted against and 23 abstained. While a General Assembly vote is politically significant and seen as widely moral weight, it is non-binding, unlike a Security Council resolution. The U.S. last week vetoed a ceasefire resolution in the smaller Security Council, which had been approved by a majority of the powerful 15-member body. Meanwhile, Israel has said it will not stop its military campaign until it eradicates Palestinian groups in Hamas, which controls Gaza, following its October 7th attack on Israel that killed 1,200 people and saw around 240 kidnapped, according to Israeli authorities. Over 100 hostages are thought to remain in captivity in Gaza. United Nations climate change negotiations have come to an agreement today to transition away from fossil fuel during the COP28 annual summit hosted in the United Arab Emirates. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres issued a statement championing the deal to phase out fossil fuel, warning critics that the move is inevitable whether they like it or not. Acting quickly, leaving no time for critics to engage in flawed debate, COP28 President Sultan Al Jaber, who is also CEO of the UAE's oil company, swiftly gavelled approval on Wednesday of a central document that takes aim at the burning of coal, oil and gas without asking for comments. U.S. President Joe Biden has warned the Israeli Prime Minister that Israel is losing support on the world stage and that his right-wing coalition partners are hemming him in. While affirming his support for Israel's war against Hamas, President Joe Biden suggested in remarks at a Washington, D.C. campaign fundraiser on Tuesday that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu might need to assemble a new governing coalition if there is ever to be hope for a peaceful resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Biden also stated that he had personally spent hours talking to Qatari, Egyptians, and Israeli officials in an effort to secure the release of the more than 100 hostages still held by Hamas in Gaza. But later in his remark to the fundraiser hosted by Lee Rosie Rosenberg, a board member of the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, Biden shifted to criticism of the Israeli government, which he described as the most conservative government in Israel's history and fundamentally opposed to the two-state resolution. Biden then stated that Netanyahu would need to change, presumably to moderate, to achieve a long-term resolution for the region. More stories after this break. Stay with us.
Your morning starts, make sure to look around for the right company to serve you everything you need to know about what's happening around you. That's why you need VOP this morning, because we will climb this far to give you a voice in what's going on from news, reviews, politics and the economy, sports, and even entertainment. Join us weekdays, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice. Your morning.
Welcome back. A United States warship has shot down a suspected Houthi drone flying towards it, as two missiles fired from an area controlled by Yemen's rebel group missed a commercial tanker traveling through the Red Sea. The U.S. official said no one was hurt when the warship opened fire during the incident on Wednesday. The tanker, an oil and chemical tanker from the Marshall Islands, the Amdron encounter, was targeted near the key Bab el-Mandeb Strait. It was traveling north towards the Suez Canal in the Red Sea, satellite tracking data shows. The vessel was en route from India and had an armed security crew aboard it, according to data transmitted by the ship. The Houthis did not immediately acknowledge the attack. Ardmore Shipping Corporation, which owns and operates the ship, said all crew were safe and no one has stormed the vessel, which remains fully operational. The ship had been traveling either to the Netherlands or Sweden when it was targeted. It is the latest in a series of attacks on ships crossing the Red Sea by Yemen's Iranian-backed Houthis rebel. The European Union's executive will wait to unlock billions in development aid for Hungary from the bloc's shared budget amid a deepening tug-of-war between the EU and Prime Minister Viktor Orban's administration over support for Ukraine. The European Commission said on Wednesday that it is waiting for a final step from Hungary to unlock a $10.8 billion that was frozen over concerns that Orban had damaged democratically checks and balances. During the visit, Xi made a series of statements and remarks about China's Vietnam ties. The Commission said Hungary's latest judicial reforms must first be published in the country's official journal to be fully enacted, which would then allow the executive body to unfreeze the funds. The EU was earlier expected to unlock the money to help sway Orban, who has threatened to veto Ukraine's possible EU membership ambitions. But a senior Orban's aide then demanded up to 30 billion euros, that's about $32.4 billion, in frozen aid be released. Orban told Hungary's National Assembly on Wednesday that he would block a proposal to start talks on Ukraine's EU membership at a summit in Brussels on Thursday and Friday. Ukraine's bid for membership requires a unanimous decision by the leaders of all 27 EU nations. Orban, who boasts strong ties with Russian President Vladimir Putin, told lawmakers that bringing Ukraine into the EU would have unforeseeable circumstances. Russia's second missile assault on Kiev this week injured at least 53 people, damaging homes and a children's hospital. Ukrainian officers claimed today as President Volodymyr Zelensky pleaded for more help for his country. Falling debris caused injuries and destruction in 4 of Kiev's districts along the Dnipro River, which cuts through the capital, officials said. 35 buildings were damaged, according to the city's military administration. Ukraine's national police said 53 people, including 6 children, had been injured by the attack. 18 people have been hospitalized, it said in a social media post. Ukraine's Armed Forces General Staff identified the projectiles as Islander ballistic missiles, as well as S-400s, extremely fast missiles intended for air defense, but which have also been used to hit ground targets. A new deal has been agreed at the UN Climate Summit in Dubai after days of negotiation. For the first time, the deal calls for all countries to move away from using fossil fuels, but not to phase them out, something many governments wanted. The text recognizes the need for deep, rapid, and sustained reductions if humanity is to limit temperature rises to 1.5 Celsius above pre-industrial levels. The COP28 president said nations had confronted reality and set the world in the right direction. Burning fossil fuel drives global warming, risking millions of lives, and so far, governments have never collectively agreed to stop using them. Island nations hard hit by climate change are critically Representative Samoa says they were not in the room when the deal was approved. Campaign groups also say the agreement doesn't go far enough. Greenpeace says it won't be possible to achieve the transition in a fair and fast manner. The team that run the sites aren't messing about. They've got to be ready for Dubai's Winter Wonderland Festival and the day after tomorrow. President Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee and Chinese President, has concluded a two-day visit to Vietnam today. China and Vietnam have announced the new positioning of relations between the two parties and countries and agreed to build a China-Vietnam community with a shared future that carries strategic significance on the basis of deepening the comprehensive strategy cooperative partnership between the two sides. Jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan pleaded not guilty to charges of leaking state secrets under an indictment on Wednesday that dealt a new blow to his chances of contesting Pakistan's general election in February. The charges are related to a classified cable sent to Islamabad by Pakistan's ambassador in Washington last year, which Khan is accused of making public. Khan's lawyer, Barrister Gohan Khan, contested the indictment, saying it would be valid only if signed by the accused. The former Prime Minister has previously said the context of the cable appeared in the media from other sources. Lawyers stated that a guilty verdict under the Official Secrets Act could bring up to 10 years in prison. It is the second time Khan had been indicted on the same charges after a superior court struck down an earlier indictment on technical grounds, saying the correct procedure had not been followed. The trial is being conducted in jail on security grounds. Khan has been in jail since he was convicted and sentenced to 3 years on corruption charges on August the 5th. Khan says the cable was proof of a conspiracy by the Pakistani military and US government to topple his government in 2022 after he visited Moscow just before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Washington and Pakistani military denies the accusation. Former soldier Rina Gonoy stated on Wednesday, one day after a Japanese court found 3 of her former colleagues guilty of sexually abusing her, that Japanese military will need extensive reforms to eradicate harassment. After being helped by Japan's self-defense forces during an earthquake that devastated the country's northeast coast in March 2011, Gonoy made the decision to enlist in the military. She quit the force, however, after officials initially ignored her complaint over an incident in 2021 when she was pinned down by 3 male colleagues who simulated a sex act on her. Tuesday's verdict in the Fukushima District Court, north of Tokyo, marks a key victory in Gonoy's hard-fought battle for justice, which began when she went public with her accusation in 2022, a rare move in Japan's conservative society where speaking out against sexual violence and remained largely taboo. A lawyer representing the defendants said immediately after the ruling that they would carefully review the verdict and had not decided whether to appeal against it. On entertainment, Andre Bruja, the star of Broccoli's 9-9 and Homid, Life on the Streets, has died again at age 61 following a brief illness. Broha often portrayed a police officer during his career, performing both in dramatic and comedic roles. He won 2 Emmy Awards from a total 11 nominations across his career for his role in homicides and theft. Born in Chicago, Broha graduated from Stanford University before attending the Juilliard School for Drama. He was nominated for 11 Emmy Awards, including 4 for his role as Captain Raymond Holt in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He won in 1998 for his role in Homicide, Life on the Street, and in 2006 for his performance in Thief, in which he played the leader of a heist crew. Broha's breakthrough came in the 1989 film Glory, where he played a soldier in a black Union regiment in the American Civil War. Turkish, and now to sports. Turkish Football Federation chief Hamet Buyukisi says there is no possibility referee Ali Umut Mila will quit after being punched in a Turkish top flight match. Ankaragaglu president Faruk Koka was arrested on Tuesday after he ran to the pitch and struck Mila following Monday's 1-1 draw with Kaya Rizespor. All league were suspended, but the TFF says they will resume on December the 19th. Mila was arrested from hospital on Wednesday with a swollen, Mila was released from hospital on Wednesday with a swollen eye. The 38-year-old is one of the Turkish top referees and officiates international games for FIFA. He is also on UEFA's elite referee list, and Buyukisi said he is in a news conference is going to be in a news conference today, and he still expects Mila to officiate at Euro 2024 in Germany. Turkish football bosses suspended all league following the incidents. Buyukisi added that with the decision taken today, all leagues will restart on Tuesday, December the 19th. This week's postponed games will be played on the 10th of January. After Koka punched Miller to the ground, he received several blows from others as he lay on the turf and suffered injuries, including a minor fracture. The incident sparked chaotic scenes involving players and club officials. To the end, the world news on VOP TV. These are the major stories again that we have read earlier. COP28 climate delegates agree to transition away from fossil fuel. UN General Assembly votes to demand immediate ceasefire in Gaza. U.S. military vessel shoots down Houthi drone flying towards Red Sea. And Turkish FA says referee is not going to quit refereeing in the league. That's the end of the world news on VOP TV. I am David Edwin. Do have a good evening.